Nothing says romance like a sheet cake and a divorce petition. I'm standing in the corner of our cramped living room, watching my wife Emily hold court at her PhD celebration party, when I notice the stack of legal papers peeking out from under her purse on the kitchen counter. My name's Patrick Hayes, 42 years old, and apparently I'm about to become a statistic. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Patrick was never really on my level intellectually, Emily's saying to her gaggle of academic friends, her voice carrying that particular brand of condescension she's perfected over the past year. I mean, he's sweet, but engineering is so practical. Dr. Lorna Bell, a skeletal woman who teaches feminist theory, nods sagely while sipping wine from our good glasses. Academic partnerships require intellectual equality, Emily. You've simply outgrown him. I take a long pull from my beer and watch my wife of 15 years discuss my inadequacies like I'm not standing 10 feet away. The funny thing is, I built the investment portfolio that's paying for this little celebration. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the guy who turned our $20,000 savings into enough money to buy this house outright. Simon Drake sidles up to Emily, placing his hand on the small of her back with the confidence of a man who's been doing it for months. He's 34, Emily's research assistant, and has the kind of wispy beard that screams, "I have opinions about craft beer." The patriarchal structure of traditional marriage really limits women's potential, Simon says, his fingers tracing circles on Emily's spine. Emily's breakthrough research on social mobility deserves a partner who understands academic rigor. Emily practically purrs. Simon gets it. He understands the demands of serious scholarship. Dr. Malik, a pompous ass who teaches sociology, raises his glass. To Emily's liberation from domestic mediocrity. They all laugh. Even Mrs. Fay from the English department, who I helped move furniture last spring, joins in the toast to my apparent worthlessness. That's when my phone buzzes. A text from Jessica Tran, Simon's girlfriend, or rather, ex-girlfriend, based on what I'm seeing tonight. Patrick, we need to talk. I have screenshots you need to see. Coffee tomorrow? I glance at Jessica across the room. She's a medical student, smart as hell, and currently watching Simon paw my wife with the same sick fascination I am. Our eyes meet, and she nods toward the door. Well, this has been educational, I announce to the room, setting down my empty beer bottle. Emily, congratulations on your achievement. You've worked very hard for this. Emily barely glances my way. Thanks, honey. Don't wait up. We're going to discuss my research proposal. Simon smirks. Academic discussions can run quite late. I bet they can, I say, walking toward the door. By the way, Emily, there's something on the kitchen counter that might interest you. Looks official. I leave them to their intellectual superiority and step into the cool October air. Jessica follows me outside. How long have you known? She asks quietly. Suspected for months. Confirmed about 30 seconds ago when I saw those papers. I light a cigarette, a habit I thought I'd kicked. How long have you known about Simon? 3 weeks. Found text messages on his laptop. She pulls out her phone. Want to see what your wife really thinks of you? The screenshots are brutal. Emily and Simon discussing their exit strategy for both their relationships. Emily calling me excess weight and financially useful but socially embarrassing. Simon referring to me as the walking ATM with a blue-collar brain. But the worst part isn't the insults. It's the calculation. They've been planning this for months. Emily gets her PhD, establishes herself in academic circles, then dumps the husband who funded her education. Simon gets rid of his clingy girlfriend and moves up in the department by association with Dr. Emily Hayes. They think they're so clever, Jessica says, her voice tight with anger. Simon actually told me you were too stupid to see it coming. I hand back her phone and take a long drag from my cigarette. Maybe I am. Or maybe you're exactly smart enough. I look at this woman, brilliant, betrayed, and clearly as pissed off as I am. Jessica, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Back inside, I can hear Emily's laughter mixing with Simon's as they celebrate their intellectual superiority and their brilliant plan to socially homicide the excess weight holding them back. They have no idea what's coming. I walk back into the house, grab the divorce papers from the counter, and sign them right there in front of everyone. The room goes silent. There you go, Emily, I say, handing her the papers. Clean break, just like you wanted. Emily's face flushes red. Patrick, what are you doing? I'm setting you free to pursue your academic dreams without the burden of domestic mediocrity. I smile at the shocked faces around me. Don't worry about the house, the cars, or any of that practical stuff. I'll handle all the details. Simon steps forward, puffing out his chest. Now see here. No. You see here, Professor. I step closer, and Simon immediately backs down. For all his intellectual superiority, he's never done a day of physical labor in his life. You wanted her? You got her. Congratulations. I head for the door again, then pause. Oh, and Emily, you might want to read the fine print on those papers. I had my lawyer add some interesting clauses about asset protection and spousal support. Turns out my blue-collar brain knows a thing or two about contracts. The last thing I hear as I leave is Emily frantically shuffling through the legal documents while her friends murmur nervously in the background. 3 days later, I'm gone. House cleaned out, bank accounts closed, forwarding address unknown. I leave behind only a note on the kitchen counter. You wanted a clean break. Here's clean. 6 months after the divorce party, I'm sitting in a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon, reading about Emily's new life in the local university newsletter that Vince, my old friend back home, emails me religiously. Dr. Emily Hayes and research assistant Simon Drake have been awarded a joint fellowship to study social mobility patterns in post-industrial communities, the article reads. There's a photo of them at some academic conference, Emily wearing the pearl necklace I bought her for our 10th anniversary, Simon sporting a new suit that probably cost more than most people make in a week. My phone rings. It's Vince. Pat, you seeing this shit? His gravelly voice carries the weight of 30 years working construction. These two are living it up in your old house, throwing parties every weekend. Emily's telling everyone you couldn't handle her success. I lean back in my chair, watching Portland hipsters debate the merits of various coffee beans. It's amazing how peaceful life becomes when you're not constantly being told you're inadequate. What else is the gossip mill churning out? Oh, you're gonna love this. Mrs. Kowalski next door says Emily had the girls over for brunch last Sunday. According to her, and you know Mrs. K, she hears everything through those thin walls, Emily was giving them a play-by-play of your performance issues in the bedroom. I nearly choke on my coffee. Performance issues? Yeah, apparently you were mechanically competent, but emotionally unavailable. Simon, meanwhile, is intellectually stimulating in every way. Vince makes a gagging sound. Mrs. K said she had to turn up her TV to drown out the details. Christ. Gets better. Simon's moved in completely now, brought his whole record collection and that pretentious espresso machine. They're planning to renovate the kitchen, make it more suitable for entertaining academic colleagues. The kitchen I spent 3 weekends last summer rebuilding after the pipe burst. The kitchen where Emily used to sit and grade papers while I cooked dinner and told her about my day. The kitchen where we planned our future before she decided I wasn't part of it. Pat? You still there? Yeah, just thinking. I watch a group of college kids argue about Nietzsche at the next table. Vince, you still talk to Bobby Martinelli down at the bank? Sure, why? I need you to set up a meeting. I want to establish a scholarship fund at the university. Something in my name. Something substantial. How substantial we talking? Substantial enough that they'll name a lecture hall after me. Vince whistles low. Jesus, Pat, you really did make out like a bandit with those investments, didn't you? Let's just say Emily's not the only one who's been planning ahead. 3 weeks later, Vince calls with an update that makes my entire month. The Patrick Hayes Scholarship for first-generation college students just got approved by the university board. $50,000 a year, renewable. There's going to be a whole ceremony and everything. And Emily? Oh, she's heard about it. Mrs. K says she threw a complete shit fit when she found out. Apparently, she tried calling you about 17 times that day. I check my phone. 17 missed calls from Emily, and twice as many text messages ranging from confused, "Patrick, we need to talk about this scholarship," to angry, "How dare you use my university for your publicity stunt," to desperate, "Please call me back, we can work this out." I delete them all without reading the rest. What about Simon? That's the best part. Remember how he was bragging about getting tenure track? Well, turns out the department caught wind of his little relationship with Emily. Conflict of interest and all that. They're reassessing his position. Meaning his contract's not getting renewed. Word is the department head thinks it looks bad to have faculty sleeping with their research assistants, especially when said research assistant is married to someone else during the relationship. I allow myself a small smile. Academic integrity is so important. There's more. Jessica Tran. You remember Simon's ex? She's doing her residency at the university hospital now. Apparently, she's been very helpful in providing the administration with a timeline of when exactly Simon and Emily's academic collaboration began. Jessica. I should send her a thank you card. How's Emily handling all this? Not well. Mrs. K says she heard crying through the walls last Tuesday. And get this, Emily tried to apply for the Hayes Scholarship herself, for continuing education in advanced sociological research. She applied for her own ex-husband's scholarship? Yep. Got rejected, obviously. The fund specifically excludes current faculty and their immediate family members. Your lawyer put that clause in there. My lawyer's very thorough. So what's next, Pat? You gonna stay out there in hipster paradise forever? I look out the window at the Portland skyline, then at the plane ticket I bought this morning. Actually, Vince, I think it's time I came home. I hear there's some nice real estate opening up in the neighborhood. 2 days later, I'm back in town, standing in front of the house next to my old one, the house where Emily and Simon are currently playing academic power couple. The for sale sign has a bright red "sold" sticker across it. Mrs. Kowalski shuffles out of her house, her ancient poodle yapping at her heels. Patrick Hayes. Well, I'll be damned. Thought you were gone for good. Just taking a little vacation, Mrs. K missed the neighborhood. She eyes the sold sign. You know who bought that place? I might have an idea. Her weathered face breaks into a grin that would make the Cheshire Cat jealous. Oh, this is gonna be good. Emily's been telling everyone you ran off broke and broken-hearted. Well, one of those things is definitely not true. Which one? I'll let you figure that out. As if on cue, Emily's car pulls into the driveway next door. She gets out, sees me, and freezes like a deer in headlights. She's lost weight, and not in a good way. Her hair, which used to be perfectly styled, looks like she's been running her hands through it. The confidence she wore like armor at the divorce party has been replaced by something that looks suspiciously like fear. Simon emerges from the passenger side, carrying a stack of papers and looking like a man who's been having trouble sleeping. When he spots me, the papers scatter in the wind. Patrick, Emily says, her voice barely above a whisper. What are you doing here? Just visiting my new place. I nod toward the house I just bought. We're going to be neighbors again. Isn't that nice? Simon finally finds his voice. Now see here, you can't just what? Buy a house? In America? With my own money? I smile pleasantly. Relax, Simon. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just a simple guy with a blue-collar brain, remember? Emily's face has gone pale. The scholarship? What about it? Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That I was donating money to education? I didn't realize I needed permission from my ex-wife to be philanthropic. Mrs. Kowalski is watching this exchange like it's the best soap opera she's ever seen. Her poodle has stopped yapping and is sitting at attention, as if it too is invested in the drama. We need to talk, Emily says. No, we really don't. I head toward my new front door. But hey, if you ever need to borrow a cup of sugar or anything, I'm right next door. Just like old times. I unlock the door and step inside, leaving Emily and Simon standing in their driveway, papers still blowing around their feet like academic confetti. Through the window, I watch Simon try to comfort Emily, but she shrugs him off. She's staring at my house with an expression I've never seen before, like she's seeing a ghost. This is going to be fun. Living next door to your ex-wife and her lover is like having front-row seats to a slow-motion car crash. For the past month, I've been settling into my new place while watching Emily and Simon's perfect academic romance crumble in real time. It starts small. The scholarship ceremony, for instance. I didn't plan to attend. Figured I'd let the university handle the publicity and stay out of sight. But Vince, who's been helping me renovate the new house, has other ideas. Come on, Pat. You donated enough money to fund a small country's education budget? Least you can do is show up and let them kiss your ass properly. So there I am, sitting in the university's main auditorium, watching Dean Harris, the same pompous jackass who used to barely acknowledge my existence at Emily's faculty parties, deliver a glowing speech about my generous contribution to higher education. The Patrick Hayes Scholarship represents the very best of our community values, the dean intones. Mr. Hayes embodies the American dream, a self-made success story who hasn't forgotten his roots. Emily's sitting 3 rows ahead of me with Simon and her academic cronies. I can see her shoulders getting tenser with every word of praise. When they call me up to accept the ceremonial plaque, she actually turns around to stare at me, her mouth slightly open. I walk to the podium, shake the dean's hand, and look out at the crowd. Emily's colleagues, the same people who toasted my domestic mediocrity 6 months ago, are applauding enthusiastically. Thank you, I say into the microphone. Education changed my life, even if I never finished college myself. I hope this scholarship helps other people discover their potential, regardless of what anyone else thinks they're capable of. I look directly at Emily for that last part. Her face is red enough to stop traffic. After the ceremony, Dr. Lorna Bell, remember her? The skeletal feminist theory professor who declared I wasn't Emily's intellectual equal, approaches me with a wine glass and a smile that could cut glass. Patrick, what a wonderful surprise. We had no idea you were so successful. Successful enough, I reply, though I'm sure my blue-collar brain just got lucky. Her smile falters. I don't think I ever said, at Emily's PhD party, you said academic partnerships require intellectual equality, and Emily had simply outgrown me. I take a sip of my drink. Ring any bells? She has the grace to look embarrassed. I may have misspoken. No, you spoke exactly what you meant, which is fine. We all make judgments based on limited information. Dr. Malik appears at her elbow, looking equally uncomfortable. Patrick, congratulations on the scholarship. Very generous. Thanks. I figure education is important, even for those of us who aren't academically rigorous enough for serious scholarship. They both wince. Simon, who's been hovering nearby, finally works up the courage to approach. Patrick, I think there may have been some misunderstandings. Misunderstandings? I turn to face him fully. Help me understand then. When you called me a walking ATM with a blue-collar brain, was that a compliment I missed? Simon goes white. How did you know about that? Simon, you're sleeping with my ex-wife in my old house, spending money I earned, and you're worried about how I found out you insulted me? I laugh, and it's not a pleasant sound. Maybe your intellectual superiority needs some fine-tuning. Emily appears at Simon's side, grabbing his arm. We should go. Probably a good idea, I agree. Wouldn't want to be seen talking to the excess weight too long. Might damage your academic credibility. As they hurry away, I notice Jessica Tran standing near the refreshment table, trying not to smile. She's wearing scrubs, probably came straight from the hospital. Enjoying the show? I ask, walking over to her. Immensely. You know, Simon tried to get back together with me last week. Really? How'd that go? I told him I'd rather date a plague rat. At least plague rats are honest about being parasites. I nearly choke on my drink. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late. I'm already on yours. We're allies now. She's right. Over the past few months, Jessica has become my unofficial intelligence network. She knows everyone at the university, hears all the gossip, and has a vindictive streak that would make Machiavelli proud. What's the word from the academic rumor mill? Oh, you're going to love this. Emily's grant application got rejected last week. Apparently, the review committee had questions about the ethical standards of her research methodology. Meaning? Meaning someone may have mentioned that her groundbreaking research on social mobility was largely based on fabricated data and plagiarized sources. I raise an eyebrow. Someone? Someone who shall remain nameless but may have had access to Emily's research files during a certain period when she was sleeping with her research assistant. That's terrible. Academic integrity is so important. Isn't it? Jessica grins. Also, the department is officially investigating Simon for sexual harassment. 3 female students have filed complaints. Sexual harassment? Apparently, Simon has a pattern of offering better grades in exchange for private study sessions. One of the complainants has text messages. I whistle low. That's serious. Very serious. The kind of serious that gets you blacklisted from academic positions permanently. We stand there for a moment, watching Emily and Simon huddle in the corner with their remaining friends, their voices getting more animated and desperate. You know what the funny part is? Jessica says. They still think they're the smart ones. Emily keeps telling people you're just having a midlife crisis, and Simon thinks you'll run out of money eventually. What do they think happens then? Emily comes crawling back. You forgive her because you're too pathetic to do better, and they all live happily ever after with your money funding their academic careers. I watch Emily gesticulate wildly while Dr. Bell and Dr. Malik nod sympathetically. She's probably explaining how this is all a misunderstanding, how I'm just acting out because I can't handle her success. They really think I'm that stupid? They really do. Well, I say, finishing my drink, I'd hate to disappoint them. The next morning, I'm in my backyard installing a new security system when I hear shouting from next door. Through the fence, I can see Simon storming around Emily's yard, kicking at the garden gnomes I bought her for our anniversary 3 years ago. This is your fault, he's yelling. Your psycho ex-husband is ruining everything. Emily's voice is shrill with panic. He can't do this. There has to be a law. What law? He's not breaking any rules. He's just existing, menacingly. I bite back a laugh. Existing menacingly. I should put that on business cards. Mrs. Kowalski pokes her head over the fence. Morning, Patrick. Sleep well? Like a baby, Mrs. K. You? Oh, wonderful. Though the neighbors were up pretty late having what sounded like a very intense discussion about financial planning. Financial planning? Something about how they can't afford the mortgage without Emily's grant money, and how Simon's unemployment benefits won't cover his student loan payments. That does sound stressful. Very stressful. Emily may have mentioned something about calling you to work out a reasonable arrangement. As if summoned by our conversation, Emily appears at the fence line. She's wearing the same clothes as yesterday, her hair is a mess, and she has the wild-eyed look of someone who's been up all night having financial panic attacks. Patrick, we need to talk. I look up from my security camera installation. do we? This is ridiculous. You're acting like a child. I'm acting like a child? I'm not the one who had an affair, Emily. I'm not the one who threw a party to celebrate divorcing my spouse. I'm just a guy living in his house, minding his own business. You know what you're doing. I'm installing security cameras. Crime rates in this neighborhood have gone up recently. Simon appears beside her, looking like he's been hit by a truck. You can't just harass us like this. Harass you? How am I harassing you? The scholarship, the ceremony, moving in next door. So donating to education, accepting recognition for charity, and buying a house in a nice neighborhood constitutes harassment? They both stare at me, clearly struggling to articulate exactly what I'm doing wrong. You're trying to ruin our lives, Emily finally says. Emily, I'm trying to live my life. The fact that my existence seems to be ruining yours is not my problem. I go back to installing the camera, which has a perfect view of their driveway. Emily and Simon whisper frantically to each other, then stomp back to the house. 5 minutes later, my phone rings. Emily. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rings again. And again. By lunchtime, I have 14 missed calls and 27 text messages. I don't read them, but I can see the preview text getting progressively more desperate. We need to talk. Patrick, please. I know you're getting these. This has gone too far. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I delete them all and go back to my renovations. That evening, Vince comes by with pizza and beer. We sit on my back porch, watching the sunset and listening to the muffled sounds of another argument from next door. So what's the plan, Pat? Plan? Come on. You didn't buy this house just to enjoy the neighborhood charm. You're up to something. I take a long pull from my beer and consider my answer. You know what they say about revenge, Vince? That it's a dish best served cold? No. That it's a dish that tastes better when your enemies serve it to themselves. As if to punctuate my point, something crashes next door, followed by Simon's voice shouting about academics and pretentious nonsense. Vince grins. I think they're getting the message. Oh, we're just getting started. The thing about destroying someone's life is that it's surprisingly easy when they've built that life on lies, arrogance, and other people's money. Emily and Simon have constructed their entire existence around the belief that they're smarter than everyone else, especially me. All I have to do is prove them wrong. It starts with the car. Simon drives a pretentious little Honda Civic that he's covered in academic bumper stickers. Coexist, question everything. My other car is a dissertation. He parks it in Emily's driveway every night, right where I used to park my truck. Vince and I are having coffee on my back porch when inspiration strikes. You know what that car needs? I tell Vince. A flamethrower? Character, personality, a little blue-collar flair. Vince grins. What did you have in mind? That night, while Simon and Emily are at some faculty mixer, we get to work. Nothing illegal, nothing permanent, just creative. We start with the bumper stickers. Over Simon's carefully curated collection of intellectual superiority, we place new ones. Honk if you're paying my bills, my girlfriend left me for a smarter man, and my personal favorite, I break for sugar mamas. Then comes the pièce de résistance, a gallon of maple syrup carefully applied to the windshield, and a bag of bird seed scattered across the hood. Think the birds will appreciate our contribution to local wildlife? Vince asks, admiring our handiwork. I think they'll be very grateful for the breakfast buffet. The next morning, I'm enjoying coffee on my front porch when Simon discovers our artistic expression. His scream of rage could shatter windows. What the heck? His car is covered in birds, dozens of them, pecking at the bird seed, leaving their natural calling cards all over his pristine academic mobile. The maple syrup has attracted every ant within a 5-mile radius, and the new bumper stickers are perfectly visible through the chaos. Emily comes running out in her bathrobe, takes one look at the scene, and immediately turns to stare at my house. I wave cheerfully from my porch. "Morning, neighbors. Looks like you've got a wildlife situation there." Simon is frantically trying to shoo away the birds while simultaneously peeling off bumper stickers. "This is vandalism. I'm calling the police." "For putting bumper stickers on a car and feeding birds? Good luck with that." Emily marches across the yard to my fence line. "You did this." "Did what?" "I've been sitting here drinking coffee for the past hour. Mrs. Kowalski can verify that." Mrs. K pokes her head out her door right on cue. "That's right. Patrick's been very peaceful this morning, unlike some people who are screaming profanities and disturbing the neighborhood." Emily's face is purple with rage. "This is harassment." "Emily, if someone wanted to harass you, they'd probably do something more creative than bird feeding. Maybe you have a secret admirer who thinks Simon needs more personality in his transportation choices." Simon has managed to clear most of the birds, but his car looks like it's been through a natural disaster. The maple syrup is proving particularly stubborn, and the ants have established what appears to be a permanent colony on his hood. "I know it was you," he snarls, pointing a syrup-covered finger at me. "Simon, I'm flattered that you think I'm creative enough to orchestrate whatever this is. But I'm just a guy with a blue-collar brain, remember? This kind of elaborate prank would require intellectual sophistication far beyond my capabilities." He starts to respond, then realizes I'm using his own insults against him. His mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. "Besides," I continue, "I was under the impression that you two were too busy with your academic careers to worry about petty neighborhood drama. Don't you have some groundbreaking research to fabricate?" Emily goes white. "What did you just say?" "Nothing that isn't already common knowledge in your department." That's when Simon makes his first big mistake. Instead of walking away, instead of letting it go, he decides to escalate. "You think you're so smart, don't you?" he shouts, advancing toward my fence. "You think your money makes you better than us?" "Simon, I think my money makes me solvent. There's a difference. You're just a pathetic loser who can't get over being dumped by a woman who's currently dating an unemployed graduate student with a bird shit-covered car. Yeah, I'm devastated." That's when he snaps. Simon charges around the fence line and onto my property, his face twisted with rage and maple syrup. "I'm gonna kick your ass, you blue-collar piece of shit." Now Simon is about 5'8" and maybe 140, soaking wet. I'm 6'2" and spent 20 years doing construction work before I got into engineering. This is not going to be a fair fight, but I don't hit him. I don't have to. Instead, I step aside as he charges, and Simon runs face first into the decorative bird bath I installed yesterday. He goes down hard, landing in a pile of mulch and lawn fertilizer, groaning and covered in dirt. "Oh shit, Simon. Are you okay?" I rush over with exaggerated concern. "That looked like it hurt. Do you need me to call an ambulance?" Emily comes running over, but instead of helping Simon up, she starts yelling at me. "You planned this! You put that bird bath there on purpose!" "Emily, it's a bird bath, in a yard, where bird baths traditionally go." I help Simon to his feet, brushing mulch off his shirt. "Simon, buddy, you really should be more careful. These academic types aren't used to physical activity." Simon is bleeding from a small cut on his forehead and looks like he's been rolling around in a garden center. His dignity is more damaged than anything else, but Emily acts like I've committed assault. "I'm calling the police." "Please do. I'm sure they'll be very interested in hearing how your boyfriend trespassed on my property and attacked my lawn ornaments." By now, we have an audience. Mrs. Kowalski is standing in her yard with her phone out, obviously recording everything. 2 other neighbors have emerged from their houses to watch the show. "This is all on video," Mrs. K announces helpfully. "Patrick was just standing there when Simon charged onto his property. Self-defense, clear as day." Emily looks around at the gathering crowd, realizes how this looks, and grabs Simon's arm. "We're leaving." "Good idea," I call after them. And Simon, you might want to put some ice on that. Head injuries can be serious, especially when you don't have much to spare up there. As they retreat to their house, Simon limping and Emily fuming, I notice something interesting. Several of the neighbors are nodding approvingly in my direction. Mrs. Patterson from 2 houses down actually gives me a thumbs up. About time someone stood up to those two, she mutters as she heads back inside. That afternoon, Jessica calls with an update that makes my entire week. The video is everywhere, she says, barely containing her laughter. Mrs. Kowalski posted it on the neighborhood Facebook page with the caption, "Local man defeats bird bath in epic battle." It has 300 likes and counting. Please tell me someone shared it with the university. Oh, better than that. Dean Harris saw it. Apparently he's concerned about faculty members engaging in public disturbances that reflect poorly on the institution's reputation. Faculty members? Simon's unemployed. Not anymore. The university just officially terminated his contract and banned him from campus. Something about conduct unbecoming and public intoxication. He wasn't drunk. No, but he was covered in maple syrup and screaming about blue-collar pieces of shit. Close enough? I lean back in my chair, watching through my window as Simon tries to wash bird droppings off his car with a garden hose. He's been at it for 2 hours and hasn't made much progress. What about Emily? That's where it gets interesting. The department is launching a formal investigation into her research practices. Apparently, someone provided them with detailed documentation of her data falsification and source plagiarism. Someone? Someone who may have had access to her files during a period of intimate collaboration and kept copies for insurance purposes. That someone sounds very thorough, and very vindictive. Emily's been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. I watch Emily storm out of the house and start yelling at Simon about the car. Even from a distance, I can see the desperation in her body language. Everything they built together is crumbling, and they're starting to turn on each other. Jessica, you're a treasure. I'm a woman scorned with access to medical records and a vindictive streak. Simon should have thought about that before he cheated on me. Medical records? Did I mention that Simon has been getting treated for anxiety and depression at the campus health center? And that he's been prescribed medication that specifically warns against alcohol consumption? Is that relevant? It is when someone posts a video of him acting erratically in public. The university takes mental health very seriously, especially when it affects public safety. I'm starting to understand why Jessica went into medicine. She has the kind of methodical, ruthless intelligence that makes for an excellent surgeon or a terrifying enemy. So what happens now? Now they realize that their perfect plan to socially murder you and live off your money has backfired spectacularly. Emily has no job, no income, and no prospects. Simon is unemployable in academia and has the social media presence of a drunken toddler. And you... She pauses dramatically. You're the respected philanthropist who generously donated to education while your ungrateful ex-wife and her lover destroyed their own careers through arrogance and stupidity. Through my window, I watch Simon throw down the garden hose in frustration and kick his car, which only succeeds in hurting his foot. Emily throws her hands up in exasperation and storms back into the house, slamming the door so hard the windows rattle. You know what the best part is? I tell Jessica. What's that? I haven't actually done anything illegal. Everything that's happened to them is a direct result of their own choices and actions. I just provided opportunities for their true character to shine through. You're a diabolical genius, Patrick Hayes. No, I'm just a guy with a blue-collar brain who pays attention. That evening, Vince comes by with a six-pack and a grin that could light up a small city. Pat, you beautiful bastard. You're all over social media. The bird bath video has gone viral. Someone made it into a meme with the caption, When you try to fight a landscaping feature and lose. I feel a little bad about that. No, you don't. You're right. I don't. We sit on my back porch, drinking beer and listening to the muffled sounds of Emily and Simon's relationship imploding next door. Their voices carry through the thin walls, accusations, recriminations, and the growing realization that their brilliant plan has turned into a complete disaster. So, what's next? Vince asks. Next, I think they're going to try one last desperate gambit to salvage their situation. What makes you think that? Because people like Emily and Simon never admit they're wrong. They always double down, even when they're holding a losing hand. As if to prove my point, Emily's voice rises to a shriek. This is all your fault. If you hadn't been so obvious about it, none of this would have happened. My fault? Simon's voice cracks with indignation. You're the one who said he was too stupid to figure it out. Well, maybe I was wrong about that. Vince raises his beer bottle in a mock toast. To being underestimated. To being underestimated, I agree, clinking my bottle against his. Tomorrow, I suspect, is going to be very interesting. The final act begins at 2 a.m. with the sound of breaking glass. I'm a light sleeper these days. Old habits from construction sites where you learn to wake up fast when something went wrong. The crash comes from my backyard, followed by drunken cursing that sounds suspiciously like Simon's voice. I grab the baseball bat I keep by my bed and peer out the window. Sure enough, there's Simon stumbling around my back porch, apparently having tried to break in through the sliding glass door. The security light has him pinned like a bug on a display board, and my new cameras are getting everything in high definition. Patrick! He slurs, pounding on the door. I know you're in there, you son of a jerk. Come out here and fight me like a man. I consider my options. I could call the police, but that would end the fun too quickly. I could ignore him, but he might actually damage something important. Or I could give Simon exactly what he's asking for. I choose option 3. Simon? I call through the door. Is that you, buddy? It's pretty late for a social call. Don't you buddy me, you psycho. You ruined everything. I ruined everything? Simon, you're the one breaking into people's houses at 2 a.m. That's generally considered rude. You know what you did. The car, the bird bath, the scholarship, all of it. I open the door, keeping the baseball bat visible but not threatening. Simon is swaying on his feet, reeking of alcohol and desperation. His clothes are rumpled, his hair is a mess, and he has the wild-eyed look of a man who's lost everything and has nothing left to lose. Simon, you're drunk. Go home. I don't have a home. Emily kicked me out, said I was dragging her down and making everything worse. That's rough, buddy. But breaking into my house isn't going to solve your problems. You destroyed my life. No, Simon, you destroyed your life. I just watched. That's when he notices the security cameras pointed at him, their little red lights blinking in the darkness. His face goes through a range of emotions, confusion, realization, and then pure rage. You're recording this. 24/7, buddy. Smile for the internet. He lunges at me then, all windmilling arms and drunken fury. But Simon's been drinking, and I've been expecting this moment for weeks. I sidestep easily, and he crashes into my patio furniture, sending chairs flying and landing face first in my herb garden. Oh, Simon, that's going to leave a mark. He struggles to his feet, spitting out dirt and what looks like oregano. I'm gonna eliminate you. Simon, you just threatened to murder me on camera while trespassing on my property. Do you want to maybe rethink your strategy here? That's when Emily appears at the fence line, wearing a bathrobe and an expression of pure panic. Simon, what are you doing? I'm handling this, he shouts back, wiping dirt from his mouth. Someone needs to teach this asshole a lesson. By committing felony breaking and entering, I ask helpfully. Bold choice. Emily climbs over the fence. Apparently, they're past the point of using gates like civilized people. She's lost more weight, and her hair looks like she's been pulling at it. The confident academic I married has been replaced by someone who looks like she hasn't slept in weeks. Patrick, please, can we just talk about this like adults? Emily, your boyfriend just broke into my house and threatened to eliminate me. I think we're past the adult conversation stage. He's not my boyfriend anymore. Simon spins around to stare at her. What? I said you're not my boyfriend anymore. This is exactly the kind of stupid, self-destructive bullshit that got us into this mess. You're breaking up with me? Now? I'm breaking up with you because you're a liability. You can't handle pressure, you can't think strategically, and you apparently can't handle your alcohol. I have to admire Emily's timing. Nothing says supportive partner like dumping someone during their drunken breakdown. You jerk, Simon screams. This was all your idea, the divorce, the affair, all of it. And it would have worked if you hadn't been so obvious about it. Oh, this is fascinating, I interrupt. Please continue. Don't mind me. They both turn to glare at me, temporarily united in their hatred of the man who's been watching their lives fall apart with undisguised amusement. You think this is funny? Emily snarls. Emily, I think this is hilarious. 6 months ago, you threw a party to celebrate divorcing me because I wasn't intellectually stimulating enough. Now you're in my backyard at 2 a.m, breaking up with your lover while he's drunk and covered in my herbs. If this isn't funny, I don't know what is. You planned this whole thing. I planned to live my life quietly in my new house. You two are the ones who decided to make it into a soap opera. That's when Simon makes his second big mistake of the evening. Instead of leaving, instead of cutting his losses and walking away, he decides to escalate again. You want a soap opera? I'll give you a soap opera. He grabs one of my patio chairs and hurls it at my sliding glass door. The safety glass spiderwebs but doesn't break, and the chair bounces back, nearly taking out Simon's knees. Simon, that's destruction of property, also on camera. I don't care. You destroyed my career, my relationship, my entire life. Simon, you destroyed your career by sleeping with faculty members and sexually harassing students. You destroyed your relationship by cheating on Jessica, and you destroyed your life by thinking you were smarter than everyone else. Emily is backing away from Simon, apparently realizing that her ex-lover has completely snapped. Simon, calm down. You're making everything worse. Worse? How can it get worse? I have no job, no money, no girlfriend, and no future, all because of him. He points at me with a shaking finger, and I notice he's crying. Actual tears streaming down his dirt-covered face. Simon, I say gently, all because of you. I didn't make you cheat on Jessica. I didn't make you falsify research data. I didn't make you harass students or have an affair with a married woman. I didn't make you break into my house or threaten to eliminate me. You did all of that yourself. But I what? Donated money to charity? Bought a house? Existed in the same town as you? Simon, if my mere existence is enough to destroy your life, maybe your life wasn't as solid as you thought. That's when the police arrive. I hear the sirens first, then see the flashing lights reflecting off my windows. Apparently, someone in the neighborhood called in the disturbance. Mrs. Kowalski, probably, though she'll deny it with a straight face. Oh, shit, Emily breathes. Oh, shit indeed, I agree. 2 officers come around the side of the house, flashlights drawn, taking in the scene. Simon covered in dirt and herbs, Emily in her bathrobe, me holding a baseball bat, and my patio furniture scattered across the yard. Evening, officers, I call out. Sorry about the noise. We're having a little disagreement about property boundaries. The older cop, a guy named Martinez, who I recognize from the neighborhood, looks around at the chaos. Mr. Hayes, what's the situation here? These 2 individuals trespassed on my property. The male subject broke my sliding glass door and threatened to eliminate me. It's all on security camera if you need evidence. Martinez looks at Simon, who's swaying on his feet and reeking of alcohol. Sir, have you been drinking tonight? maybe a little. He's drunk, Emily says quickly. He's been under a lot of stress lately, and he's not thinking clearly. Ma'am, are you his wife? No, I was his. She struggles to find a term that doesn't make her sound complicit in whatever Simon's done. I'm his ex-girlfriend. And you are? Martinez asks me. I'm the homeowner. These are my ex-wife and her former boyfriend. They've been having relationship issues and apparently decided to work them out in my backyard. Martinez's partner, a younger woman named Officer Chen, is examining the broken door. Sir, did you break this glass? Simon nods miserably. And you threatened to eliminate Mr. Hayes? Another nod. While intoxicated and trespassing on his property? Simon looks like he's going to vomit. I was upset. I understand, sir, but you're under arrest for breaking and entering, destruction of property, and making terroristic threats. As they cuff Simon and read him his rights, Emily turns to me with desperation in her eyes. Patrick, please, don't press charges. He's not a bad person. He's just lost. Emily, he broke into my house and threatened to eliminate me. What exactly am I supposed to do with that? He was drunk. He didn't mean it. Are you seriously asking me to give your ex-boyfriend a pass for committing felonies against me? She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see the exact moment when she realizes how insane her request sounds. Yes, I guess I am. Emily, 6 months ago you threw a party to celebrate divorcing me because I wasn't good enough for you. Now you want me to show mercy to the man you cheated on me with. Do you see the irony here? She doesn't answer, just watches as they load Simon into the back of the patrol car. He's crying openly now, all his intellectual superiority and academic arrogance reduced to drunken tears and dirt-stained clothes. Ma'am, Officer Martinez says to Emily, I'd suggest you stay away from this property for the foreseeable future. Mr. Hayes would be within his rights to file a restraining order. A restraining order? Emily's voice cracks. Ma'am, your ex-boyfriend just committed multiple felonies on this man's property. If you're associated with him, that makes you a potential threat as well. Emily looks at me, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I see genuine fear in her eyes. Not anger, not arrogance, but actual terror at the realization that she's lost control of the situation completely. Patrick, please, I know we've had our differences, but Emily, go home. Stay away from my property, and maybe consider whether the choices that led you to this moment were really as smart as you thought they were. She opens her mouth to respond, then closes it. Without another word, she climbs back over the fence and disappears into her house. As the police cars drive away with Simon in custody, I survey the damage to my patio. It's not too bad. Some scattered furniture, a cracked door, and herb garden that looks like it's been hit by a small tornado. Mrs. Kowalski appears at the fence line in her bathrobe, her ancient poodle tucked under her arm. Exciting evening, Patrick. Just a little neighborhood drama, Mrs. K. That boy's got problems. That boy's got felony charges. She cackles with delight. Serves him right. Emily, too, if you ask me. That girl's been asking for a comeuppance since she moved back in. Well, she's certainly getting one. What happens now? I look at Emily's house, dark except for a single light in what used to be our bedroom. She's probably sitting there right now, trying to figure out how her brilliant plan to trade up from her blue-collar husband to an intellectual equal has left her unemployed, alone, and living next door to the man she betrayed. Now, Mrs. K, I think the show's over. Shame. It was just getting good. As I clean up the patio furniture and call a glazier to fix my door, I can't help but smile. Emily and Simon thought they were so clever, so much smarter than the blue-collar guy who was holding them back. They had it all figured out. The perfect crime, the perfect plan, the perfect life. They just forgot one thing. I might have a blue-collar brain, but I've got a white-collar bank account and the patience to let them destroy themselves. Tomorrow, I suspect, is going to be very quiet. The trial of Simon Drake becomes the most entertaining thing to happen in our sleepy college town since the dean got caught embezzling funds for his vintage wine collection. I don't attend, no need to gloat in person when the local newspaper is covering every humiliating detail. Local graduate student sentenced to 6 months for home invasion, reads the headline. The article goes on to detail Simon's drunken breakdown, his academic misconduct, and his spectacular fall from promising researcher to convicted felon. There's even a sidebar about the bird bath incident that made him a viral meme. But the real entertainment comes 3 weeks later, when Emily finally swallows her pride and calls me. Patrick, we need to talk. I'm sitting in my renovated kitchen, enjoying my morning coffee and watching the sunrise through windows that don't look out on bitter memories anymore. Emily's voice sounds hollow, defeated. Do we? I'm losing the house. I'm sorry to hear that. The mortgage was based on both our incomes. Without the university salary and with the legal bills from Simon's case, she trails off, probably hoping I'll volunteer to solve her financial problems. That sounds difficult. Patrick, I know things ended badly between us, but we were married for 15 years. That has to count for something. It does count for something, Emily. It counts as 15 years of my life that I'll never get back. Silence on the other end of the line. I made mistakes, she finally says. You made choices. I know you're angry. Emily, I'm not angry. Angry was 6 months ago. Now I'm just done. What does that mean? I take a sip of my coffee and consider my answer. Through my window, I can see Emily's house with its for sale sign and overgrown yard. She's let the place go to hell since Simon's arrest. It means I've moved on. I have a new life, new friends, new priorities. You're not part of that. But the scholarship, the house next door, all of this, you did it to hurt me. Emily, I did it to help myself. The fact that it hurt you is just a bonus. Another long silence. I've been offered a position at a community college in Ohio. Part-time, no benefits, but it's something. Congratulations. I'll have to sell everything, the house, the car, all of it, start over with nothing. Welcome to divorce, Emily. Most people don't get to keep everything when their marriage ends. You could help me. And there it is. The real reason for the call. After everything, the affair, the lies, the public humiliation, the celebration of our divorce, she still thinks I owe her something. Help you how? You have money, more than you know what to do with. You could buy the house, let me stay until I get back on my feet, for old time's sake. I actually laugh out loud. For old time's sake? Emily, the old times included you sleeping with your research assistant in our bed and throwing a party to celebrate getting rid of me. I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, Emily. You freed me. You did me the biggest favor of my life by showing me exactly who you really are. So that's it? 15 years of marriage means nothing to you? 15 years of marriage means I know you well enough to recognize a manipulation attempt when I hear one. I can hear her crying now, soft sobs that might have moved me once upon a time. But that was before I learned that Emily's tears are just another tool in her arsenal. I have nowhere else to turn. You have family in Ohio. You have colleagues who might help. You have options, Emily. They're just not the options you want. Please, Patrick. I'm begging you. And I'm saying no. The crying stops abruptly. You bastard. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Actually? Yeah, I am. I'm enjoying watching the consequences of your choices catch up with you. I'm enjoying the fact that your brilliant plan to trade up from your blue-collar husband has left you worse off than when you started. I'm enjoying the poetic justice of it all. You're not the man I married. You're right. The man you married was naive enough to think his wife loved him. The man you're talking to now knows better. I did love you. No, Emily. You loved what I could provide. The house, the financial security, the stable foundation that let you pursue your academic dreams. You never loved me. That's not true. Prove it. Tell me one thing you loved about me that wasn't related to money or convenience. Silence. I thought so. Patrick. Emily, I'm hanging up now. Don't call me again. Don't come to my house. Don't contact me through lawyers or mutual friends. We're done. Permanently. Wait. I hang up and block her number. 2 hours later, Jessica calls with the final piece of the puzzle. She's gone, Jessica says without preamble. Gone? Packed up and left this morning. Moving truck, everything. Mrs. Kowalski said she looked like hell. I walk to my front window and look at Emily's house. Sure enough, it's empty. No cars in the driveway, no lights in the windows, just a hollow shell with a "for sale" sign swaying in the breeze. Did she say anything to the neighbors? Just that she was starting fresh somewhere else. Oh, and she left something for you. Left something? Taped to your front door. Mrs. K said she saw Emily put it there around dawn. I walk to my front door and find a manila envelope with my name written in Emily's careful handwriting. Inside is a single sheet of paper, our wedding photo, and a note. Patrick, it reads, I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know that I did love you, in my own way. I just love the idea of who I could become more. I hope someday you can understand that. I hope someday you can be happy. Emily. I stare at the photo for a long moment. We look so young, so hopeful. Emily's smiling that brilliant smile that first attracted me to her, and I'm looking at her like she's the most amazing thing in the world. Maybe she was, once upon a time, before ambition and insecurity turned her into someone I didn't recognize. I tear up the photo and throw it in the trash. That evening, Vince comes by with beer and Chinese takeout. We sit on my back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. So it's over? He asks. It's over. How do you feel? I consider the question seriously. How do I feel? Relieved, certainly. Vindicated, absolutely. But there's something else, something I didn't expect. Free, I finally say. For the first time in years, I feel completely free. Free to do what? Anything I want. Travel, maybe. Start a new business. Date someone who actually likes me for who I am instead of what I can provide. Speaking of which, Jessica's been asking about you. I raise an eyebrow. Has she now? Says she's always been attracted to men with blue-collar brains and white-collar bank accounts. I laugh. She's got a point. That's a pretty attractive combination. So what's next, Pat? I look at Emily's empty house, then at my own place with its new security system, fresh paint, and carefully tended garden. I built something here. Not just a house, but a life. A life that's entirely my own. Next, I think I'm going to enjoy being underestimated. Turns out it's a pretty useful superpower. Vince raises his beer bottle. To being underestimated. To being underestimated, I agree. As we drink, Mrs. Kowalski shuffles over with her ancient poodle and a bottle of wine. Boys, I thought we should celebrate. Celebrate what, Mrs. K? The end of the neighborhood soap opera. It's been better than anything on television, but I'm ready for some peace and quiet. She's right. For months, my life has been consumed with revenge, with proving Emily and Simon wrong, with watching their carefully constructed world crumble. It's been satisfying, but it's also been exhausting. Peace and quiet sounds pretty good, I admit. Plus, Mrs. K adds with a wicked grin, I heard through the grapevine that the new owners of Emily's house are a lovely young couple with a baby on the way. Much better neighbors than those two academic snobs. New owners? Sold this afternoon. Cash sale, well below asking price. Apparently Emily was motivated to move quickly. I smile. Even Emily's final exit has worked out in my favor. Instead of living next to an empty house or dealing with months of showings and open houses, I'll have normal neighbors who probably won't try to break into my house or publicly humiliate me. Here's to new beginnings, Mrs. K says, raising her wine glass. To new beginnings, Vince and I echo. As the sun sets on what might be the most eventful year of my life, I realize that Emily was right about one thing. I'm not the man she married. That man was trusting to a fault, willing to overlook red flags, eager to please even when it meant diminishing himself. This man, the one sitting on his own porch, drinking beer with his friends, watching the sunset over property he bought with money he earned, this man knows his worth. This man doesn't need anyone else's validation or approval. This man learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate schemes or calculated cruelty. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well while your enemies destroy themselves. Emily and Simon thought they were so smart, so sophisticated, so much better than the blue-collar guy who was holding them back. They had it all figured out, the perfect plan to get everything they wanted without consequences. But they forgot the most important rule of any con: never underestimate your mark. I may have a blue-collar brain, but I also have patience, resources, and the kind of practical intelligence that comes from actually working for what you have instead of just talking about it. Most importantly, I have something Emily and Simon never did. I know who I am, and I'm comfortable with that person. As the stars come out and Mrs. Kowalski regales us with neighborhood gossip, I make a mental note to send Jessica flowers tomorrow. After all, she played a crucial role in Emily and Simon's downfall, and good allies should be rewarded. Maybe I'll ask her out to dinner too. Vince is right, she is attractive, and she definitely appreciates men who are more than they appear to be. But that's tomorrow's concern. Tonight, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the peace and quiet of a life well lived and a war well won. Emily wanted intellectual equality in her relationships. Simon wanted academic respect and financial security without earning either. They both got exactly what they deserved, each other, until even that fell apart. As for me, I got something much better. I got my life back.